Welcome to r/LegalAdvice, where we read surprisingly interesting stories that don't end in a cliffhanger, I promise. In addition, I would just like to say happy anniversary to Glenn Romero from the comments. He and his wife listen to my content daily. Thank you so much, I hope you have a great anniversary. The first one is titled, A Mother Trying to Control Her Son's Alone Time. I am 15, my family is deeply religious, I respect that, but sometimes, I'm 15 and I have to, rub one out. I try not to, but I cannot concentrate on anything else if I don't. And if I see a pretty girl, it will get worse. It basically feels like sleeping to me. If I don't do it, I cannot function. I don't know if I'm normal or not, I'm definitely ashamed of it. But I am not lying, I promise. My mom does not believe me. My dad is out of the picture, so I cannot talk to him and ask him if this is a guy thing. Anyway, my mom has tried a lot of things to get me to stop. She took my door off, for example, she grounded me and stuff. I tried to hide it, so she gives up, but now she has decided to get some kind of device and put it on me so that I cannot touch myself. She seemed serious and it would not be out of character for her. She also does other weird things, like on Fridays we cannot eat at all because of Jesus. I try to respect that, but oftentimes I go out on a bike ride and get food somewhere. I get hungry. What I want to know is, can I refuse to wear her device? I pretty much know I will lose my phone, she will probably sell it so I cannot get it back and stuff if I refuse, but I personally think that going a while without my phone is kind of okay. I want my grades to stay okay so that I can get into college and have some control over myself, and I cannot do that if I am constantly hot and bothered by every girl I see because, well, So yeah, this is kind of embarrassing. I hope I don't need to share my personal information with anyone here. I live in Ohio and go to a private school. And guys, I know you might think, what kind of weird teenager story is this? But I promise this will get much crazier. And guys, I'm curious, did your mom ever put a device like that on your private? No, I'm kidding, I'm not asking that question. Anyway, let's see how the story continues. Before we read the update, someone in the comments said, if she tries to put any device on you, call Child Protective Services. Does she ever take you to a doctor? And then OP said, no, we are not allowed to go to the doctor for religious reasons. My younger brother, who is 13, broke his arm last year and had to go, and he got in trouble for it. Anyway, the next one is titled, I told my math teacher about my mother and she got arrested. I got my 13-year-old brother after school yesterday and we went to see my math teacher. I did not tell him all the details, but I told him my mother wanted to put a device on me to keep me from touching myself, and my brother and I showed him the healed burn things like you guys suggested. At first he wanted to call our mom, but that actually made my brother cry in fear, so he did not, because I told him I would run away and call the police if he did. He called a bunch of people and about an hour later the police and a bunch of other people showed up. Apparently, they had already been suspicious about our neighborhood. They talked to us away from each other and I had to tell several people what happened. There was one lady who I told everything real specific. She was very nice and did not make me feel ashamed at all. We went back home with them and I showed the police where my mother kept drugs that I'm pretty sure were illegal. She was not there, but all my other 6 siblings who are homeschooled were. Then they went down the street to where my mom and our preacher were, and I don't know what happened, but they arrested her, I think for drugs and other stuff, and someone else whose house they were at, because they were doing drugs, I think. That's what they usually do, but not the preacher. I think they're gonna look into it though. There were a bunch of people and police who talked to all of us more, and eventually they took us to a place where they said we would stay for now, like a shelter or something. I should have done this years ago. I feel really bad because I could have had my siblings taken better care of. I don't really know what is happening or gonna happen, but the place I am in now is way cleaner than I'm used to, and we have clothes and stuff and food, and we don't have to watch toddlers anymore. They were not happy when they figured out stuff like the burns and that my 11 and 10-year-old sisters cannot read at all. They also were not very happy with our house, I could tell. I hope we don't have to go back, and I hope it is okay to post this even though I don't need advice anymore. Thank you to everyone who helped me. Drug addicts and being extremely religious. That is definitely a weird combination. Moreover, if you don't mind, please let us know in the comments if you ever had any real-life experience with religious sects or cults. And now we're gonna read the last update to the religious crazy story. A small update to what happened to me and my siblings after my mom was arrested. My mother was charged with several things and is in jail, but I don't think they actually put her in for the crimes yet. Like, she's waiting on the police to get evidence, I think. As many of you guys thought, the only people in my family allowed school was my brother and me. My second brother was 2, so I don't know if she would have let them put him in school. My sisters had to stay home. This was not weird to me because it was an all-boys school. They said I will never go back to my mom again and my siblings won't either. They also said what we were in was a cult, we were all in one big apartment building kind of thing. They said they were not sure the cult itself was illegal, just that some of the other stuff happening was drugs and that some of the stuff was probably sexual assault, but I cannot talk about it very much. Multiple people are in jail for it, lots of people left, and I think they are looking closely at the pastor. So it is okay. Thank you all. I don't know if all 8 of us will stay together, but we are safe now. It is weird, but in a good way. I don't think I will have any more updates for a long time, but I will try if anything happens that seems like a good idea. And guys, just like that, r/LegalAdvice more or less saved a group of 8 kids. If you ask me, that is pretty impressive for a subreddit. And if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you want to support me. Thank you so much. I cannot thank all of you enough for your daily support, it really means the world to me. And the next one is gonna be about insane neighbors, also posted on r/LegalAdvice. It is titled, "Neighbor damaged their car pulling into my driveway, wants us to pay for repairs." Neighbor across the street, entire family uses our driveway to pull into before backing into their own driveway. We have asked them to stop, but they ignore us. They said there is no city by law against it, which I believe is correct. In the past, they have damaged our lawn, broken our garbage can, and damaged our recycling/compost bins. Today was garbage day and I put out some broken shelves at the end of our driveway with the garbage can and other bins to make it easier for the garbage workers to reach because of the snowbanks. About an hour ago, angry neighbor shows up at our door saying we need to keep our driveway clear at all times and the trash there damaged their car when they pulled in. He wanted to know where they should send their car for repairs since we would be paying. To say I am angry is an understatement. He claimed the first few feet of our driveway is public property controlled by the city, and since it was not kept clean and damaged his car, we need to pay. I asked him to leave our property before I called the police. He told me to go ahead. At that point, I closed the door and locked it. Can I really be held liable for having an idiotic neighbor? Is my best course of action to just ignore him until I get served with legal papers, or should I be proactive and get a lawyer myself? And then someone in the comments said, neighbor is a complete idiot. In the first place, in Ontario, the driver of a vehicle who collides with a stationary object is 100% at fault. Additionally, he is a criminally liable idiot. However, Mr. Mike Soft Cider in the comments said, yeah, ignore your neighbor unless you hear from a lawyer. And another user said, if you hear from their lawyer, contact your home insurance company. And by the way, before I forget to ask, have you guys ever been in a traffic accident? As you might know, I'm a big fan of motorcycles, so I prefer to ride them instead of driving cars. So yes, I've had a couple of close calls, but honestly, whenever I'm driving a car, I'm driving kind of slow, so there's pretty much almost no risk. Let me know how it is for you. Update to the neighbor that damaged their car pulling into my driveway. It's been about a week since the issue came up and I thought I would post an update. I ended up going to speak with them the following day to tell them about the trespass. I also gave them a letter stating the same thing. It is just something I made up based on suggestions here and what I found on the internet. They seemed a little surprised and did not say much other than I should expect to hear from their attorney. So far, we have not heard from anyone lawyer-wise. For a short time, I felt like the problem was resolved as nobody used our driveway. This all changed yesterday, Friday, exactly a week since the incident when my neighbor pulled into my driveway as I was clearing ice from it. He smiled, waved and reversed into his driveway. I did manage to take a photo as I shook my head no at him. They used our driveway at least 2 other times in the evening after dark that we know about. I called the non-emergency police number this morning to report the trespassing, and the call taker told me someone would contact us soon. At this point, I think I would be surprised if the police did anything based on what I will mention later in my text. I have also pursued this in 2 other ways. First, the bylaw folks did get back in touch with me to tell me that there was no bylaw stating others could not use my driveway. They also said that I am well within my rights to put anything I want in my driveway anywhere as long as it is not a permanent structure. I also learned that blocking my driveway from the street is not permitted and that anything within 1.5 meters on either side of the driveway is considered blocking. By law said that damage to the car is a civil matter and has nothing to do with them. Not surprised there. Lastly, I tried to find out if I own the driveway all the way to the road. This has been an exercise in frustration, to be honest. Right now, the only thing I know for sure is the following: city right-of-way. This term refers to the city-owned portion of a piece of land. It is very often wider than the road and sidewalks that may abut your property and can extend to a considerable extent onto your property. The city maintains a right-of-way wider than the width of the road in the event that a road widening becomes necessary at some point in the future. Notwithstanding this, a property owner is still responsible for maintaining the city-owned portion of their land with respect to matters such as grass cutting and snow clearance. The exact extent of the city's right-of-way can be determined through a plan of survey. This leads me to believe the city does own a piece of the driveway, but I don't know how much and if this means my neighbor can use it. The fact that they began using it again a week after my visit leads me to believe they have found out that they are free to use it. At this point, we are trying to decide if we drop it or go all in and hire our own attorney. Someone from the planning department of the city is going to be calling us back next week, I hope. Thanks to everyone for all the great advice. Guys, did you ever have an annoying neighbor like the OP in the story? Let us know in the comments. And now we are going to read the final update to the neighbor story from before. I figured I owed you all one final update. Idiot Neighbor will now forever be known as A-hole Neighbor. We received a letter from a law firm representing them. The letter basically says we put obstructions in the driveway when we knew they used it on a daily basis. They are now willing to settle for the cost of repairs plus attorney costs. I don't know if expletives are permitted here or not, but F them. I may not be able to block them using our driveway, see below, but I won't be paying them anything ever. We have heard back from the city police and they won't do anything unless we are threatened. A wave does not constitute a threat, so they want no part of this. I also got a copy of the property map and the city owns more than half the distance between the house and the road. Give or take, the city portion is about normal car length. We are granted a right-of-way. Technically, A-hole Neighbor has no right to use it, but nothing will be done by the city to block this. And there is no bylaw against it. Lastly, we cannot trespass people on the city's portion of our driveway. I have a feeling that A-hole Neighbor was made aware of this sometime around when they started using our driveway again. I have hired a lawyer. He has asked that I no longer post to social media, so with that said, I am out. And the last one is titled, Just Found Out Husband Fabricated Entire Life. Can I get an annulment and how do I get him out? I met my husband 4 years ago, just before moving from PA to GA. Shortly after my move, he followed me and we fell in love. We lived together from 2015 onwards and in mid-November 2018 we married. Today I discovered that virtually everything he has ever told me or demonstrated about his life was a complete fabrication. From specific medical issues to jobs, past and present, to education, to family relationships, to the claim that his first language was not English, to phone conversations that never happened, to people he knows to, if you can think it, he has lied about it. We live together, but my name is on the lease and I hold the title on both of our cars. He has some belongings in our home, but most of it has been purchased with money that I have earned over our 4 years together, plus money from my personal savings account. I am totally open to letting him walk with all of his stuff and even signing the older car to him. After a quick internet search, it looks like I might have grounds for annulment of my marriage on the basis of being seriously misled. Do I? What will I need to be able to prove in order to make it work, and is there anything else I need to keep in mind to aim for an annulment instead of a divorce? Reddit user 1211 in the comments said, you need to retain an attorney to review the entire situation of your marriage and advise you as to the best way to move forward. What type of end to the marriage is best for you may be more complicated than you are allowing for. Your pets are marital property subject to division in whatever way the end to your marriage is handled. Update: just found out husband fabricated entire life. It has been a little bit over a year since I turned to this community as my life fell rather dramatically to pieces around me. My original post did not get a ton of attention, but the replies I received helped me tremendously, and seeing where I am a year later may also provide some hope for those going through their own crisis. In particular, you helped me construct my initial list of immediate to-do items and put me on the right track to figure out how to extricate myself from the relationship. The day I first posted here was the day I found out that my then husband had lied and fabricated most of what I knew about him. Other things I did that day included teaching a class to 200 undergrads about 15 minutes after I found out for sure, and kicking off a day-and-a-half long job interview for the next stage in my career, a job which I somehow landed. What unfolded over the following 3 months can really only be described as living my way through my own version of a Lifetime movie. At some point I moved into an extended stay hotel, and as time passed I learned about the depths and breadth of the lies and deceit he had used to both control me and get what he wanted, and the length he would go to try and get his grip back on what he had successfully manipulated his way through for about 4 years. What I know now, and what I am kind of glad I did not really know then, was that I was not actually as safe with him as I thought I was. So I am thankful I managed to get out with only psychological, emotional, financial burden and no physical trauma. About 2.5 months later, I successfully had my marriage annulled on the basis of fraudulent coercion to marry. I ended up doing the necessary research and filing the paperwork myself, which was not an easy task, but was both cheaper and faster than it was going to be if I hired a lawyer. A few weeks after the annulment, I moved my belongings out of our apartment and moved to a new city and my new job, without him but with the kittens. As of late June, I finally had him convinced that contacting me was pointless because he was not getting me back, and so I have been largely free to recover from the trauma and crisis mode I lived in for about 3 months. One of the things I have learned from all of this is how incredibly difficult it is to get out of a relationship in a situation like this. Besides the obvious difficulty of navigating the legal system and the cost associated with it, there is the cognitive dissonance of constantly trying to remember to relate to that other person in light of the new information you have found out about them. It really and truly took every life skill and tremendous support of my family and friends network to get out in more or less one piece. And even still, the road to recovery and a return to thriving is a long one. So, thanks to those who helped me back on that terrible day in January 2019. And if you know someone who is going through something like this, please offer whatever you can in support. They definitely need it. I gotta say, this story in general is probably one of my worst nightmares. I don't know about you guys, but I really hate it when people lie to me, especially when it is people that I care about a lot. Did you guys ever have a partner that lied to you about something very important? Feel free to let us know in the comments. And unfortunately, we have reached the end of the video. I hope you still enjoy r/LegalAdvice. And besides that, I hope you have a fantastic day and I see you again tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching.